The heavy snowfall that gripped northern Japan in late January and early February 2026 imposed significant and measurable impacts on both Aomori Prefecture and the island of Hokkaido. In Aomori, conditions deteriorated as snow accumulated faster than local crews could manage. On February 1st, Aomori City recorded nearly 183 centimeters of new snowfall in a single day, which equates to roughly 6 feet. That level of accumulation overwhelmed local roads, narrowed streets to impassable widths, and placed extreme weight on roofs across residential and commercial districts. The volume of snow led prefectural authorities to formally request assistance from the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force to support snow removal operations on rooftops and critical infrastructure, a clear indication that municipal resources were insufficient for the scale of the event. The human toll in Aomori was linked primarily to routine winter tasks performed under hazardous conditions. Emergency services reported at 2 fatalities and nearly 90 injuries associated with snow clearance efforts. And by early February, the prefecture had recorded numerous cardiovascular and fall-related incidents. These figures were part of a broader pattern in Aomori, where everyday activities such as clearing driveways or removing snow from outbuildings repeatedly exposed residents to serious risk. In response, local government communicated safety advisories that emphasized professional assistance for roof clearing and cautioned against solo work. Hokkaido's experience of the same system had different but equally significant impacts. The region around Sapporo saw January produce some of the deepest snow totals for that month in over 20 years, with accumulations frequently exceeding 2 meters on the ground in urban and peri-urban areas. On some monitoring points outside Sapporo, snow depths approached or exceeded 200 centimeters, which is roughly 6.5 feet. That accumulation directly affected transportation infrastructure, causing mass cancellations and service disruptions. New Chaitos Airport, a principal aviation hub for Hokkaido, experienced the suspension of operations on multiple days as runways and service areas became buried faster than they could be cleared. During one operational pause, approximately 7,000 passengers were left stranded in terminal facilities after flights were canceled due to unsafe runway conditions and limited visibility. Rail services reflected similar stress. Lines connecting Sapporo with smaller towns experienced repeated delays and temporary suspensions as track crews worked to keep snow from covering critical equipment. Road departments reported that even expressways, which normally remain open through winter, required intermittent closures to allow plows and heavy machinery to create passable corridors. Hokkaido's snow removal budgets were stretched beyond typical seasonal levels, requiring overtime pay and contracted equipment from private suppliers. The cumulative effect was a measurable slowdown in commerce, with freight deliveries delayed by hours or days and passenger movements constrained over consecutive weekends.
The
The national picture during this period also recorded direct human impacts across both regions. By the first week of February, official tallies attributed at least 27 confirmed fatalities and nearly 300 injuries to heavy snow conditions across multiple prefectures, with a large share occurring in Aomori and Hokkaido. These figures were compiled from fire department reports, police accident logs, and hospital intake data, highlighting how widespread and consistent the risk had been across the region. Most serious incidents reflected routine exposure to the elements under physically demanding conditions, rather than isolated natural disasters, reinforcing the idea that even well-prepared populations can be vulnerable when conditions persist and accumulate. Local authorities and emergency planners described the weather pattern as one characterized by repeated snow bands generated as cold, continental air passed over the warmer waters of the Sea of Japan. This mechanism is familiar to meteorologists and climatologists, but the persistence of successive systems over several days pushed cumulative totals beyond typical expectations. In response, governments shifted from short response cycles to sustained endurance operations. Snowplows and clearance crews were scheduled in rotations around the clock. In Aomori, municipal fleets worked extended shifts to keep major arterials open. And in Hokkaido, similar operations focused on priority routes into and out of Sapporo and other urban centers. The operational response in both regions involved coordination among municipal, prefectural, and national assets. In Aomori, the Ground Self-Defense Force assisted with rooftop work and heavy machinery deployment on secondary roads. In Hokkaido, airport authorities and railway operators staged phased reopenings, prioritizing safety checks before allowing a return to any normal schedule. Local shelters opened temporarily for residents whose homes lost heat or who were cut off by snowdrifts. These efforts were structured and deliberate, focusing on reducing immediate danger while maintaining essential services. Public safety messaging focused on measurable risk factors. Officials advised that roofs carrying more than 1.5 meters of snow were at elevated structural risk and recommended professional or organized assistance for hard-to-reach areas. Medical authorities reiterated the hazards of prolonged physical exertion in frigid conditions, citing an increase in call volumes for cardiac stress and fall injuries during the peak of snowfall. Traffic safety advisories warned drivers to avoid travel unless essential, as surface conditions remained treacherous and visibility poor. For residents, the message is consistent and practical. Follow local advisories, use organized support for large snow clearing tasks, maintain awareness of conditions, and limit exposure to hazardous outdoor work when possible. Thanks for watching Severe Weather, where we break down the facts behind nature's most intense moments. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Hit the bell so you never miss a real, calm, and clear report.